The set of The View buzzed with its usual morning energy, the chatter of the hosts, the laughter of the audience, and the bright lights that made every word feel larger than life. Julia Roberts had been invited to talk about her new film, but from the moment she sat down beside Joy Behar, there was a strange undercurrent, a subtle sharpness in the air. Joy, known for her unapologetic humor and strong opinions, started the segment with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "So, Julia," she began, flipping her cue cards casually, "another rom-com? You're not tired of playing America's sweetheart yet?" The audience laughed, unsure if it was a joke or a jab. Julia smiled politely, the kind of smile that hid a flicker of annoyance. "I don't think kindness and optimism ever go out of style," she replied smoothly. But Joy wasn't done. "Sure," she said, "but some might say it's outdated. Maybe audiences want something deeper these days." Julia tilted her head slightly, still smiling, but her eyes sharpened. "Maybe depth doesn't come from cynicism," she said quietly, "or from mocking the things that make people feel good." The crowd reacted, half clapping, half murmuring. It was polite, but the spark had been lit. The hosts glanced at one another. They could feel it too. What was supposed to be a friendly segment was about to turn into something no one had planned for. Joy leaned back in her chair, her trademark smirk widening as the tension deepened. "Oh, don't get me wrong," she said, waving her cue card as if to soften the blow. "I love a good feel-good movie. But sometimes it feels like Hollywood's been recycling the same old fairy tales, you know? Woman meets man, big smile, happy ending. It's cute, but it's not exactly real life." Julia's smile faltered for just a second. "Real life," she said slowly, "isn't about constant bitterness either. Joy. People still want hope. They want stories that remind them love and decency exist even if they don't make you roll your eyes." The audience let out a low, "oh," sensing the sting. Joy chuckled, brushing imaginary dust off her sleeve. "Hope is great," she said, "but some would argue it's easy to sell when your life looks like a movie itself." The jab landed too personal, too pointed. Julia froze, then laughed. But it wasn't her usual bright, infectious laugh. It was hollow, controlled. "Wow," she said, "you really went there." Joy shrugged, her tone half playful, half provocative. "Hey, just keeping it real. That's what we do here." Julia's eyes hardened. "Keeping it real doesn't mean being rude." The audience reacted, some applauded, some gasped. The co-hosts shifted awkwardly, glancing toward the producer's booth where frantic gestures begged them to move on. But Joy wasn't finished. "Come on, Julia," she said. "You can handle a little honesty, can't you?" Julia sat back, exhaled slowly, and said with measured calm, "Honesty isn't the problem. The problem is mistaking cruelty for conversation." The air went still. Even Joy blinked, caught off guard by the precision of Julia's words. The silence after Julia's words stretched like a live wire. Even the studio lights seemed too bright, pressing down on everyone's faces. Joy shifted in her seat, her smirk fading into a tight, uncertain smile. "Cruelty?" she repeated, a forced laugh escaping her. "Oh, come on, Julia. Don't be so dramatic. It's just television. We tease everyone here." Julia's eyes didn't waver. "Teasing," she said quietly, "is when there's respect underneath it. But I don't feel much respect in this room right now," the audience murmured. A ripple of discomfort moved through the crowd. One of the co-hosts, clearly panicking, tried to steer the conversation back. Okay, let's take a breath," she said quickly. "We're all friends here, right?" But Joy wasn't one to let a challenge pass. "You're an actress," she fired back, leaning forward. "You've made a career out of pretending. Maybe you're just not used to people talking straight to you." Julia blinked, the weight of the comment hitting harder than expected. She sat up, her expression sharpening. "I think that's where you're wrong," she said. "I've spent my life studying people, listening to stories, finding truth in them, something this show seems to have forgotten how to do." Gasps filled the air. Joy opened her mouth, but Julia kept going. "You call it honesty, Joy, but all I see is you enjoying the sound of your own judgment." The audience broke into scattered applause, some cheering her on, others whispering to each other. The camera zoomed in, Julia's face calm but resolute, Joy's flushed and tense. It was no longer entertainment. It was a clash of worlds, sincerity versus spectacle, grace versus ego. The producer's voice crackled in the host's earpieces, urging a commercial break, but the energy was too charged. Joy leaned forward again, defiant. "You think walking in here makes you better than the rest of us?" Julia tilted her head, eyes unwavering. "No," she said softly, "but I refuse to sit here and be talked down to, not by anyone." The tension in the studio had reached a breaking point. The air felt electric, as though every light, camera, and person inside the room was holding its breath. Joy leaned back in her chair, lips pursed in an attempt to regain control, but Julia wasn't backing down. Her calmness was unnerving, more powerful than any outburst could have been. "You came here to talk about your movie, didn't you?" Joy said, forcing a brittle laugh. "Well, congratulations, you just made it all about you." Julia tilted her head slightly, her tone still even. "No, Joy. You made it about me when you decided to mock something I care about. You don't get to twist that now." Her voice didn't rise, but every word landed like a quiet thunderclap. The audience, sensing history in the making, went utterly still. A few people even raised their phones, trying to capture the moment before producers waved them down. Joy rolled her eyes, muttering something under her breath, but Julia heard it, and that was it. She stood up slowly, smoothing her skirt, her eyes never leaving Joy's. "I've been doing this for over 3 decades, she said, her voice steady but sharp. "And I've met people tougher than you, smarter than you, and definitely kinder than you. But I have never met anyone so determined to be cruel just to get a reaction." Joy tried to interject, but Julia lifted her hand slightly, silencing her. "You think this is entertainment?" she continued. "Maybe it is, but not the kind I want to be part of." The audience gasped audibly as Julia unclipped her microphone. The sound tech froze, not sure whether to stop her or let her go. "Julia, come on," one of the other co-hosts said gently, her voice pleading. "Don't do this live." Julia smiled faintly, her eyes glistening, but her decision was made. "No, it's okay," she said softly. "Some things are better seen live, truth, for instance." She turned to Joy one last time. "You should try it sometime." Then she stepped back, the click of her heels echoing through the silent studio as she walked off stage. As Julia disappeared behind the stage curtain, the studio erupted into chaos. The audience began buzzing, some clapping in support, others stunned into disbelief. Joy sat frozen for a moment, gripping her cue cards like a lifeline. Her trademark smirk had vanished, replaced by a tight, uneasy grimace. One of the producers rushed onto the set, whispering frantically into her earpiece, but Joy brushed him off. "We're fine," she snapped, trying to compose herself. "We'll keep rolling." It was clear she wasn't fine. The air had changed. The easy rhythm of morning television was gone, replaced by the lingering echo of Julia's words. The co-host tried to smooth things over, forcing laughter that fell flat. "Well," one of them said awkwardly, "that was unexpected. We'll be right back after a quick break." The camera light blinked red again. They were off air. Immediately, crew members swarmed the set, voices overlapping as they debated how to handle the fallout. "Do we cut it?" "No, it's live. The internet already has it." "Someone call PR now." Every screen backstage replayed the moment Julia unhooked her mic, her calm defiance contrasting sharply with Joy's fuming face. Meanwhile, Julia was in the hallway, her heels clicking against the studio floor. A young intern caught up to her, breathless. "Ms. Roberts, are you okay?" Julia smiled faintly. "I'm fine," she said. "I just forgot how loud truth sounds in a place full of noise." Her words were calm, but her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from adrenaline. She wasn't used to walking away from confrontation, yet today it had felt necessary. Back on set, Joy was pacing, muttering under her breath. "She'll regret this," she said to no one in particular. "You don't walk off The View and come out looking like the good guy." But even she knew that wasn't true. Clips of the exchange were already flooding social media, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all ablaze with comments like "Julia Roberts just ended daytime TV toxicity in one sentence." Within minutes, Hashtags like hashtag Team Julia and hashtag Julia walks off were trending worldwide. The control room could barely keep up. Every outlet wanted a statement, ABC, News, Entertainment Tonight, and all anyone could say was, "We're still assessing the situation."